Hi guys, in this lesson we're going to start with patterns. Patterns are very easy. You can actually, without having any knowledge of formal formula or whatever, you can actually figure out a pattern normally on your own. But it's always helpful if we do give you some guidelines and maybe a formula. So if it's a very big pattern, you can also find those answers. Now, it seems like a lot of stuff that you will be able to do after this lesson. I'll rather, as I go through the examples, tell you what you're going to be able to do. You can at your own time just read through this. It's basically that you will be able to understand how an arithmetic pattern looks. Good, but let's look at the more detail. The basics. Now, you know what a conjecture is? It is when you rewrite something in words. So if we look at this example I've got in front of me, if you look at the figures here, 1, 4, 9, 16, you know that they are square numbers. So if you look at the describing in words there, it's a sequence of squares starting with 1. So it describes to you exactly what figures you're going to have in front of you. It's going to be squares. What is a square figure? It's 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9. So those answers that you get are the square numbers. And now I've written it in words, and we've also written it in figures. Now, if you look at the figures, can you see the pattern here? T1 is 1 square. T2 is 2 square. And so we carry on. T3 is 3 square. So if we get to the nth term, it is automatically n square. That is how easy patterns are. You can see a pattern. If you've written 3 or 4 of the figures in the sequence, you can normally see what pattern is going on here, and you can make a general rule. And this is the general term, Tn is equal to n squared for this specific sequence. Now, if I now ask you to find the 50th term, you do not have to sit and write out all the terms until you get to the 50th one. You can just use the formula, and you can, in the n space, fill in a 50 and 50 square, and you'll be able to find the 50th formula. But let's look at the terminology, because in maths, it's one of the downfalls of maths is if you do not know the terminology well. So if we look at the terminology, it's really important that you understand which thing stands for the term. The T stands for the term itself. That is the value. The little footnote is describing which term am I talking about. So if I say T3, I mean it's term 3. So that 3 tells you the position. Am I at the third or the fourth, or on which term am I now? Which term am I talking about? And then the 9, if you look at the 9 there, is the actual value. So that is the actual T. You'll see T is equal to 9. The little footnote is not part of the sum. It just tells you which term are you now talking about. You're talking about term 3. So there is the general term, and there's all the different wording that you need to know. So make very sure that you know that this little 3 is the footnote is just telling you on which term you are now working. And the T itself is the value itself, because it can be very confusing. Once one starts to do problems, you see it could be very confusing if you don't think carefully. Good. Let's look at an example. This is now the square numbers that we talked about just now. Normally we write a sequence like that. We write it with semicolons in between so that we can have them nicely next to one another. Now, if I just give you these figures, you can already see it looks like squares. But if I write it out, 1 times 1 is actually 1 square. 2 times 2 is actually 2 square. And so we can carry on. That is actually 3 square. So n times n is actually n square. And there's your formula for this sequence. That is how we get formulae. We look at each one, we see if there's a pattern that is repeating, and then we can, by the time we get to the nth term, we just use n for the number of term. It's very easy. We make maths abbreviations as easy as possible. T for the term, n for the number of terms. The third one, or the fourth one, or the 50th one, or the nth one in this case. Good. Example 2. Now this one looks a bit different. There's a 2 and a 6 and an 18 and a 54. So if I look carefully, you'll see that every time I'm timesing by 3. Every time I'm timesing by 3. So it looks like it's something where every time I'm timesing by 3. So if I look at the first one, oh, but the first one is just a 2. So I'm just for a minute going to leave the 2 there. I'm going to take 2 and I'm multiplying it by 3. The next term I've already multiplied by 3, but I multiply by another 3, otherwise I don't get to 18. So if I write it in a neater form, it's 2 times 3 squared. And this is 2 times 3 to the 1. Now, let's just leave the first one for a second. This one is also 2 times 3, which is the 18. But I times it by another 3, so that gives me 2 times 3 to the 3. So I can see my pattern is every time 2 times 3 something. So the first one should also be 2 times 3 something. And what do you know about 1? All ones can be written as something to the power of 0. So what am I going to do? I'm going to write it as 3 to the power of 0. So now if I look at my sum carefully, I will see that for term 2, there's a 1 exponent. For term 3, there's a 2 exponent. In other words, my formula, I'm just going to write it neatly here, Tn is every time 2 times 3, but it's not the exact number. That is 3 there, term 3, and that one is 2. This is 4 there, and that one is 3. In other words, is 1 less than n. And there is the formula. It's not written very nicely here. There's the formula, but here I've written it out nicely in green. You can see that it's every time times 3, but be very careful. I'm comparing this little exponent, the yellow one, with this yellow footnote, and I'm checking if it's the same. In the previous sum, it was the same. That's why you could have just said n squared. In this case, it's each time 1 less. And how does one write 1 less? You write to the power of n minus 1. And there is this formula. Good. Now, these two that you see in front of you are different because they're not the normal arithmetic sequences. We're going to concentrate. We're starting now in grade 10, and we're going to concentrate on the arithmetic ones. You do that exactly the same up to matric. And then we're also going to do the geometric ones. Those are the two that we are going to concentrate on. You get lots of other sequences. Yes, just two formulae or two examples of that. It's totally different. You know how the Fibonacci sequence works. You add two terms and it gives you the third one. And you add those two and it gives you the next one. And you add those two and it gives you the next one. So if I describe this one as Tn, then this one will be Tn minus 1. Then this one will be Tn minus 2 because I'm now working backwards. So what do? I add these two and that should give me Tn. So this is where they get the formula from. This is not an arithmetic sequence. It's just an example of another type of sequence. If you look at this one here, there's no obvious pattern. You can complete the sequence. You can go as far as you want, but there will not be a formula because it's not an arithmetic sequence. So we're going to rather concentrate on the arithmetic sequences because that is what you're going to do, and that is what you're going to be able to make sure of, that you understand how the formula works, and this is what you're going to do up to the end of matric. So let's look at this one, 2, 4, 6, 8. Now you can see it's even numbers. You agree? So the difference, every time I'm multiplying by 2. I'm every time multiplying by 2. Am I? No, I'm not. I'm actually adding 2. So I must be very carefully. The previous ones, because it was all different sequences, I could have multiplied, I could have done different, I could have squared. In this case, I'm not multiplying. I am, let's just get it gone there. I am actually every time adding 2. So this one is just 2 times 1. Because I'm adding another 2, it's 2 times 2. And remember, this is term 2. Term 3, I'm multiplying by 3 to get to the 6. And that is term 3. So if I now, you can see the pattern already. To get your 8, you take the 2 and you multiply by 4, and you're busy with the 4th term. So if you get to the nth term, you're just going to take the 2 and you're going to multiply it by n. So why? Because the footnote there and the thing you multiply with is exactly the same. You can see the pattern on the front of your sequence. Every time it's the same. It's the same, and I'm just multiplying by 2. That's why my formula here is 2n. Now this one, I'm going to just rewrite it nicely here. This one is one that you can remember because a lot of times we are working with even numbers, and you can think for yourself, if I multiply anything, which in this case is the n, any number of term, if I multiply it by 2, I get an even number. Now, just as easy, so something to remember. If you can, in your mind now, instill it somehow, 2n always represents an even number. So in the future, you don't even have to write it out like this. You can just remember, if they talk about even numbers, I can use this formula. Now, what do you think about odd numbers? Let's look at this odd number. Now, I know how even numbers is formed. So if I look at this odd number, the first odd number is 1. So I can't just use it 2 because then it's not 1. But if I subtract 1, then I get back to 1. Let's see, the next even number was a 4. So if I subtract 1, I get to the 3. The next even number was a 6. If I subtract 1, so what can I see? If I take an even number and I subtract 1, it gives me the formula of odd numbers. Also, something that you can really remember and try and imprint it in your mind. If I talk about odd numbers, it will always be an even number minus 1. It can also be plus 1, but remember, we need to start odd numbers on 1. So if I just say plus 1, I'm never going to get to the 1. I'm just going to get to 2 plus 1 is 3. 4 plus 1 is 5. So in order to make sure you incorporate the 1, you have to rather say 2 in minus 1, and that will always represent an odd number. Good. Example 6. Now, if you look at this one, it's 4, 8, 12, 16. So there's every time a difference of 4. So it looks like you are adding 4 each time. Or you can just see it as the multiples of 4. 4 times 2, 4 times 3, 4 times 4, that will always give you, and I'll come back to the adding of 4 later in our next lesson, but for this, just to let you understand what its pattern is about, an arithmetic pattern, we write it like this. We say 4 times 1, there's the 1. 4 times 2, let's do it like that, there's the 2. 4 times 3, there's the 3. So I can see for every term, I'm saying 4 times. 4 times. 4 times what? The same as the footnote. If I'm on term 4, so if I'm on term n, what am I going to do? I'm just going to multiply with n. 4 times n. So you can see patterns are really, really so basic and simple. There's nothing difficult to it. It's really simple. Let's look at this one. 6, 10, 14, 18. Now this time I can really see I've added 4 each time. So let's just look here. I've added 4, but now remember, you already in the previous one had 4n, which was the multiples of 4. So you already had 4n. Now this 4 here and that 4 there is the difference between 18 and 14. And it's the difference between 10 and 14, and it's the difference between 10 and 6. So the minute we see the difference between terms are the same all over, then we know we're busy with an arithmetic sequence. And then I can just start off and say, but that means it's going to be something like 4n, like the previous one was 2n. But if I just take 4n, 4 times 1, remember, term 1 is 4 times 1. 4 times 1 doesn't give me 6. I'm short of something. What am I short of? I'm short of 2, and that will give me 6. Let's test the next one. If I now take term 2, and I multiply it by 2, because it's term 2, I'm multiplying it by 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Oh, but it's not 8, it's 10. But if I add that same 2 that I did on to the previous one, it gives me the 10. And so you can check each and every one of them. If I just take the term value there, and I multiply it by 4, because I saw the constant difference was 4 all the time, and I add 2, it gives me the answer each time. So if I get to my nth term, I'm also going to say 4 times n. I'm going to add the 2. But remember, if we write 4 times n, because we're lazy in maths, we rather just write 4n plus 2. And that's how we got this formula. Good. So we're doing a lot of examples just to show you how to get to the formula. Now, let's see if you can do it all on your own. Let's see if we can, without looking at any answer, let's see if we can get that little method sorted in our heads. What did we do with the previous ones? We first checked if it was an arithmetic sequence. So if I check this one, 13 and 17, just one thing that is very, very important. We always take the right-hand side minus the left-hand side to see if there is a common difference. So if I do that, 17 minus 13, it gives me 4. 21 minus 17, I'm going to make an arrow so you can remember we do it this way. It gives me 4. 25 minus 21, it gives me 4. That we call the D. Just in maths, I always say, very easy, D for difference, D for difference. So the difference between the terms, we always do right-hand side minus left-hand side. So I can either take T2 minus T1, or I can take T3 minus T2. I can take any of the terms which follow onto one another, but I take always the right-hand side minus the left-hand side, and that is how we get the common difference. Now, if I now write down T1 here, T1 is actually 13. So if I write it down, and I now said, but it's 4 times 1, because that's what we did previously. We just took the common difference 4, and because it's term 1, I just multiplied by 1. But that doesn't give me 13. What am I short of to give me 13? I'm short of 9. 9 plus 4 gives me 13. So if I now add it, it will give me 13. Let's take the second term. The second term is 17. If I take 4 times 2, because remember that little footnote there, and that thing there is the same. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 9 gives me 17. You can already see the pattern. You agree? I can carry on, but you can see the pattern. So if I now get to the nth term, I'm going to say 4 times n plus 9. And if I write it neatly, it will give me Tn is 4n plus 9. So if I now ask you to find the 50th term or the 100th term, you will not have to sit and write out each time adding 4, adding 4, adding 4 until you get to the 50th or the 100th term. You can just use this formula. And if I now ask you to find the 50th term, you will just make the n a 50, and you'll make the n of 50 there, and you'll grab your calculator, and you'll be able to find the 50th term, or whatever the question may be. Good. I'm going to just take it off so that you can redo it on your own. So you see what we did? We got the common difference. Remember, afterwards, you can just check your formal memo, and it will tell you exactly how it was done. Good. Now we've got that formula. Now here's the question. Determine the 150th term. That is very, very far along the line. So you will not sit and write down 150 terms. It will take up too much time. That's why I say if we are doing arithmetic sequences, we can make a formula, which we now did. And if they say, remember what we said in the beginning, this little n at the footnote, let's just get my pen, this little n at the foot, that little n there is the how manyth term I'm working with. So if it's the 150th term, I need to replace the n with 150. Be very careful, the n, not the t, because it's the number of the term, the 150th, and that's the n. So if I do it on the left-hand side, how does the equation work? Whatever you do on the left-hand side, you do on the right-hand side, and you get your answer. So 4 times 150 is 600 plus 9 is 609. So let's just rub it out, because you're going to redo it on your own. There will be the answer afterwards so that you can just check it carefully. Now the next question. They ask now, which term of the number pattern equals 129? Listen carefully. Which term? Term starts with a T. They're asking term. So what are they now actually giving you? They're giving you the term, not the little n at the footnote. The little n stands for the number of terms, the 150th. They now give you the value. That is why if you now go back to our third slide, you'll see we wrote down next to each letter what it stands for. Because a very common mistake is that pupils confuse the T and the N. They write the N in the T space and they write the T in the N space. And I actually cannot understand why, because we listen to the word term. T. So that's the T. The previous one asks you the number, the 150th, the number of the term, and that's why it was the N. So now we're going to replace the whole T with 129. 4n plus 9. Because now I know what the term's value is. And I think maybe you should also do this. Make a circle around the T if they give you the term, and then you know I need to replace the whole T with 129. And now I just get my 4n all alone. Minus 9 is 120. I divide by 4, and that goes in there 30. In other words, the 30th term will be equal to 129. And that is what you worked out just now. Good. So it's really, really Very, very easy. There's nothing difficult to it. You write down a formula. There you will be able to check the answer and you will be on your way to do well. Now, the rest of the exercises, I'm going to just, you can just go through them on your own. You will stop them and do them on your own on a clean sheet of paper. There are nice ones where they've got figures as well, where you have to write down your own little sequence. They give you a sketch and you have to just make your own little sequence of it. The answers are in yellow at the bottom. And after all of those practices, you should be able to do an arithmetic sequence very easily. Good luck. I'll see you next time.